Hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm your girl Nell and welcome to the channel. This week I wanted to talk to you guys about the midweek meeting that's happening this week. And I wanted to talk to you because um, the majority of the meeting will be concentrating on two things: alcoholism and obesity. Okay, those are the topics that will be featured prominently in the midweek meeting. And I just found that, listening to the meeting as my husband has health challenges, so he's not able to attend. He's an active Jehovah's Witness, so he's not able to attend the meetings. He has to watch on Zoom, and I am an inactive. I try to fade Jehovah's Witness, but it's very difficult to do because my husband is an active Jehovah's Witness. So, anyhow, I listen along while I'm, you know, cooking dinner or washing dishes or whatever it is I like to do to occupy my mind when the meeting is on. I listen a lot to what's happening. And what I find is that if you are not a critical thinker, Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization, will have your ass thinking any old thing. Okay, and some of the things that they believe is so archaic and out of date that is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so for instance, this week they will be having talks about, alcoholism and obesity. All right. So let me just say this. There is one particular talk that speaks about what's the difference. I believe it is the spiritual gems, where it talks about the question is, um, now I want you to see that. The question is, what's the difference between, let you see that. Okay. What is the difference between gluttony and obesity? So the question under spiritual gems takes you to the Watchtower 04, November 1st, okay? And it takes you to the article on gluttony, and it's a question for readers. And the question is, how does the Christian congregation view gluttony? Now remember, this article was written in 2000 and, what did I say? 2003, 2004. And what it does is it breaks down what gluttony is and what obesity is. Now, what I find about Jehovah's Witnesses that's very, very interesting, and I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and let me know if you feel differently, but Jehovah's Witnesses, have a really rocky relationship with science, okay? Period. Science, any of the sciences. It could be psychology, sociology, archaeology. Jehovah's Witnesses, if it has a G on the end of it and it has to do with science, they have a very, very rocky history with that. Case in point, for a very long time, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the world was created in 6 literal days. Okay, 6 literal days. All right. Now, even though scientists have proven, and archaeologists have proven, and paleontologists have proven that the earth has been here much, much longer than a measly 6,000 years, Jehovah's Witnesses will want you to believe that it's only been here 6,000 years. Now, until recently, I would say maybe within the last 10 years or so, Jehovah's Witnesses have quietly adjusted their thinking about how long the planet has really been here. But those are the things that Jehovah's Witnesses do. And if you are not a person who likes to read, do research, if you're not a person, or if you don't watch NPR, you never watch any type of nature programs on PBS, then of course you will fall in line with that type of thinking. But as a child, okay, that was really conflicting for me, because as a child, I was always a reader and a thinker. And so I loved dinosaurs. And when you go back and you look at dinosaur bones and you understand things like the Grand Canyon and probably how long it actually took for the Grand Canyon to become a Grand Canyon, then you understand that the earth has been here longer than 6,000 years, okay? But to say otherwise before the white guys up in New York makes that determination could label you as a weak Jehovah's Witness or an active Jehovah's Witness or a Jehovah's Witness that deserves to be marked. Okay? Remember that. Remember that. So you could be a Jehovah's Witness sitting there, and you could be a type of person like me who, loves to read, loves anything that has to do with nature and the earth. And when you hear that the planet was made in 6 days, you have to clamp down because you're like, I can't say anything, because if I say anything, I'm gonna get in trouble, right? But this whole the planet was made in 6 days, it's ridiculous. So, as a Jehovah's Witness, or if you're a person that's a doubting Jehovah's Witness, or if you are a young person and you're trying to get out or break away from being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is get yourself a library card and start going to the library. Utilize the library's resources so that you can be able to learn things for yourself. You can be able to discern and just gain that type of knowledge that you need to be able to function in this world. Walking around talking about the planet Earth has been around, walking around talking about the planet Earth has been here for 6,000 years is preposterous. And even I, as a young Jehovah's Witness kid, I understood that. All right. But I was taught otherwise. Okay. And unfortunately, I had the temerity to teach my children that same ridiculousness, even though deep down inside, I knew it was wrong. The same thing with this article right here on obesity and gluttony. Now, who today, we do not call it gluttony. Okay. What is the definition of gluttony? Let's look it up. Okay. I'm going to look it up for you right now on my handy dandy smartphone. Gluttony. Let's look up the definition. Okay. Gluttony definition. Gluttony means habitual greed or excess in eating. Okay. Now, it comes from the root word of glutton. So let's find out what it means to be a glutton. Okay. Let's get the definition. And the definition of a glutton is excessively greedy eater. Okay. Now, why is this particular usage of the word glutton incorrect and outdated? Would you like to talk about that? We can, because people, first of all, to go ahead and assume that someone is a glutton or someone has an issue with gluttony and to call them greedy, it's just wrong. Okay, it's very, very wrong. And it is it's a judgment. Okay, it's a judgment. And the reason why it's a judgment is because you don't know why people behave and react the way that they do. Now, today, we don't call it gluttony, and we don't call it glutton. We call it a eating disorder. Okay, people who have issues with food have eating disorders. Okay, if they are having an issue where they're eating excessive amounts of food and they cannot control themselves or they cannot stop, it is an eating disorder. No one sits down at a table full of food and eat because they're greedy. They sit down at a table and intake large or massive amounts of food because they have an eating disorder. That's what it is. That's the problem. Many eating disorder, one particular eating disorder that a person could possibly have is bulimia nervosa. That's an eating disorder. Let me look this up for you guys. Right now, the American, let me see. the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Okay, have you heard about that? I know about it because I am a student. I'm a grad student and I'm studying to become a psychotherapist. And let me show you what, or explain to you what eating disorders are. Okay, according to the criteria from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Let me explain to you exactly what it means to be, or to have an eating disorder. Hold on. And you can look this up too. Okay, here we go. I have the book up there, but I don't want to pull it down because it's huge. I think you can see it up there on the shelf, that big white thing. I call it the Bible. Okay, so here we go. Here are the different categories of eating disorders. See, first you have the anorexia nervosa, then you have bulimia nervosa, you have binge eating disorder, and then you have other specified feeding and eating disorders. Okay, so more than likely what gluttony will fall under is a binge eating disorder. Okay, now because we don't know when Jehovah's Witnesses call someone a glutton or get into gluttony, we don't know we don't have a case by case type of situation going on. So we don't know if a person who is suffering from bulimia or suffering from binge eating, we don't know if they meet the criterion of actually being diagnosed as a binge eater, having a binge eating disorder, or having bulimia. However, we do not call it gluttony, okay? Because science has recognized that in our minds sometimes we may have a short circuit going on, okay? Or we may have other issues in our lives where we feel that the best way, or the only way that we can cope with them, is by indulging in certain type of activities that can be risky or present risk to our health. And binge eating is one of those. So for Jehovah's Witnesses to call binge eating or refer to binge eating as gluttony is just really outdated. It's insensitive, okay, by the way, and it is just doing a disservice to people who are sitting up in the Kingdom Hall right now, who probably are working through issues of having bulimia, who are working through issues of having a binge eating disorder. To say that gluttony is based off of greed, okay, and excessive eating is just really, really insensitive and backwards. We live in 2025, okay? A lot of people who sit up in the Kingdom Hall are going through many different mental health disorders. And Jehovah's Witnesses do not help the case when they break out information that is just really uninformed, or misinformation is really what I'm trying to say. It's misinformation. Having an entire article about gluttony when we don't even call it gluttony anymore is it's misinformation. It is misinformation. I cannot stress that enough. And that's why Jehovah's Witnesses is a group or organization where, you really need to stay away from, because if you get involved in being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, then what happens is that, I mentioned the word short circuit. Your brain will be short circuited to the point where you begin to intake information from Jehovah's Witnesses who barely believe in scientific evidence. You get to take in all this information from them when they don't know. They have no clue. They don't know. They'll tell you, oh, we have this giant library over here that we get all this information from, but they really don't know what they're talking about. And as they like to say, oh, we're infallible. We're not infallible. We're not directed by Holy Spirit. We're not inspired. So if a group of people tell you that they're not inspired by God, okay, that's number one. And then they tell you we're not infallible. Okay, that's number two. Why would you listen to any information that they give out? And what Jehovah's Witnesses do is a disservice to their people, to the 9 million people that they claim that they have. They do a real disservice to them because it's probably somebody somewhere who's going through struggling with bulimia. There's somebody sitting in the Kingdom Hall right now struggling with binge eating. There's someone in Kingdom Hall right now who's going through anorexia. Okay, who has some type of eating disorder, and to be so insensitive and to bring up, oh, hey, you're a glutton. To a person that probably an hour or two before they even arrived at the Kingdom Hall sat down and wolfed down 5 or 6 hamburgers because they're going through some type of mental health crisis, because maybe they lost their job, maybe they're being abused, maybe what they're dealing with, the death of a spouse or a loved one. People go through, we're human beings, we go through all kinds of different things that are stressful upon our mental capabilities, and who knows what the people inside the Kingdom Hall are going through. Then to sit down, okay, and then to sit down and be told that you are sinning. Being a glutton and being greedy is not going to get you into God's kingdom. See, it's that kind of stuff that really gets under my skin. And I don't know if it really bothers the layman Jehovah's Witnesses a witness a lot. But what really bothers me is that I know for a fact that there are people that were sitting up in that Kingdom Hall last night who are, in fact, psychologists and therapists. And they did not comment or say anything to refute what was said. Now, I know you're going to say, come on now, Neil, how would they raise their hand and say that this information about gluttony is false or disinformation? Listen, okay, there are many ways you can do things. There are many ways that you can do things to inform people during a question and answer session at the Kingdom Hall. Had I been an active Jehovah's Witness and I was sitting there and I heard that, what I would have said is that gluttony is really an eating disorder. And when you have an eating disorder, that may be something that you want to get some type of help with. It's simple as that. It's very, very simple to do. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Now, if an elder wants to dispute that, then, we could take it there too. Now, I've been in situations like that when you have to say things that needs to be said, but you say it in a way that doesn't present yourself as an apostate. You say it in a way that you are an informed and enlightened or spiritual minded person. Okay. So I know for a fact that there was a therapist or a psychologist in the audience last night. And I know for a fact that she knows what I know about eating disorders. So to see that she sat there and didn't say anything, didn't raise her hand to comment, because I really believe that should have been her duty, because she knows, like I know, that there are people in the congregation right now who are going through mental health crises. Okay, so here's the thing. You can be whatever as you want to be. You can worship anyhow you want, any way that you want to worship, because this is America. But there are some religions today that when they say stuff and they try to tell you that this comes from God and that you need to follow them and you need to listen, you should have a billion red flags going off in your mind. A billion. Okay? A billion. All right, so I just wanted to talk to you about that. Of course, so like I said, the talks, the talks for the weekly meeting is also going to be about center around alcoholism. And let me tell you something about Jehovah's Witnesses and alcoholism. It's a lot of drunk folks sitting up in the sitting up in the Kingdom Hall. A lot of people have issues with alcoholism. Okay, let me just be honest about that. I've seen it. I've lived with it. I grew up seeing people who are elders, prominent people in the congregation who had definite issues and problems with alcohols, who I would call them alcoholics. Okay? Alcoholics. But the way Jehovah's Witnesses treat those who have alcoholism, who are facing alcoholism, they treat them wrong. They disfellowship them. It's what they do. Okay, alcoholism is a disease. It's not a question of, should I serve liquor today at my gathering? Should I not serve wine at my gathering? I don't want to stumble somebody. It's not about that. It's about a disease. And see, that's what I'm talking about. This is the thing I'm trying to tell you guys. It's a disease. Gluttony. We don't say that anymore. It's an eating disorder. People have eating disorders. It's a disease. Okay, it's one that you can manage, but it's a disease. Alcoholism is a disease. It's a disease. So if there's someone in your congregation, you sitting back saying to yourself, well, hey, should I serve wine today? Should I not serve wine today? Should I serve wine should we have some type of liquor at the picnic and stuff like that? Or should we not have liquor or beer or stuff at the picnic? Listen, here's the thing. Okay, there's nothing that you can do. All right, because a person who is suffering from alcoholism, this is a walk that they have to get help on for themselves. Okay, alcoholism is a disease. It's not something that you or I can prevent. It's nothing that you and I. Alcoholism is not a disease where you and I can sit back and say, oh, well, if I don't serve wine or beer at my house today, maybe that'll prevent so-and-so from getting drunk. No, because alcoholism is a disease. It's a disease. Okay? It's a disease, people. It's a disease. So yeah, you can sit back and say, well, I'm not going to serve wine to sister at my gathering because I know sister so-and-so, is an alcoholic. Well, that's fine. That's fine. But then having the idea that, oh, I don't want to do anything to cause stumbling is the wrong idea, because alcoholism is a disease. And if you know someone in the congregation that has a shaky relationship with alcohol, what should you do? You should talk to them and help them to understand that they need to seek support and help from Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. Now, I know how Jehovah's Witnesses feel about Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. But if you have a situation where you're dealing with someone that has a disease, you have to treat the disease. And see, once again, like I said at the beginning, Jehovah's Witnesses have a problem with the science. A problem with science. All right. 1 minute they tell you, if you think that you're in a mental health crisis, get help. And then the next minute they telling you, oh, you're a glutton. You eat too much. What's the difference between gluttony and obesity? Oh, well, obesity could be inherited. Obesity could be, what? What? Maybe obesity could be correlation or part of an eating disorder. Maybe alcoholism is a disease where the person needs to get some what? Some help, some support so that they can fight, so that they can uh so that they can get the support that they need to be able to overcome it, and then learn tools to help them along the way to be able to manage their disease. So listen, I'm your girl now. So thank you so much for watching. And let me know what you think in the comment section about this gluttony and alcoholism and all these scriptures about, you don't want to stumble your brother. So, don't be serving wine here and wine there. That's, listen, Jesus served some wine at the wedding. He made a whole bunch of wine at the wedding. You think Jesus was saying to himself, oh, hey, I better not make this wine or turn this water into wine because there is Apostle so-and-so, and I know he likes to get tipsy. When he gets tipsy, he gets ridiculous. Jesus ain't do that. He just turned the water into some fucking wine. And everybody had a good time. And that was that. I tell you, it's just me. If you're not out here thinking for yourself, I'm going to tell you. People love to control this. And if you are incapable of controlling this, shoo.
This sounds like a partial thought. To give you a helpful...
People will tell you anything. And when you don't control this and you let somebody else control this, then you get led astray, baby. Led astray. So thank you so much for watching. As I said before, let me know what you think. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and let me know what you're thinking about this. Let me know what your thoughts are about this video, okay? Because I need to know. And if you have already subscribed, thank you for being a subscriber. I will see you next week on this channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.